Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Theory of Racelessness YouTube channel. If you'd like to see more, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to get notified every time we post a new video. To get even more involved, feel free to leave us a comment down below and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear them. Now, enjoy the video.
Need to be talking to Black people about it. So it's like, okay, what do you make it make sense? Okay, racism is pernicious and it impacts negatively everyone who's racialized. And in American society and in plenty of societies, we're all racialized, which means it negatively impacts every single one of us. And as you said, some people are impacted in different ways based on their racialization, but the impact and the negativity of it is the same. And one of the hindrances to more people having meaningful dialogue as it pertains to racism is this constant and consistent insistence that people feel the burden and shame and all that stuff. And
right.
I'm not a psychologist, and I would say that I am a person who's very in touch with human emotion. I don't think that those emotions are necessarily negative or bad, right, in appropriate context. But if we're sincere about opening the door to more people as it pertains to racism and solving it and preventing it and stopping it in its tracks, then the door has to be open to more people. So if the door to theory of racelessness is such that more people who otherwise wouldn't necessarily come through the door are coming through the door, it's interesting how that's not interpreted as a sign of effectiveness. Right?
I want to say amen to that, though.
Yes.
Opening the door.
Yes, that's what we listen. That's what we need in order to start making the bigger, more generative changes that we say that we want. We need the door to be open. But if we just want to make it about politics, if we just want to politicize and lambaste people based on their politics and presume their racism based on their politics or based on how they're racialized or whatever, then that's fine. We can continue to do that, and we can continue to reap what we sow. And we can continue to therefore solve a whole lot of nothing. And in fact, help racism take root even further. And in terms of the distinction between something like my framework and your work, that I think is important that too many people miss, right? First of all, a lot of people, well, plenty of people look at colorblindness as denying the existence of racism because they interpret it as denying the existence of race, right? And it's this idea that a person's skin color can be interpreted into race, and then I'm going to overlook or ignore your race and treat you how I want to be treated. That's the premise of colorblindness. And sometimes, as you just beautifully outlined, sometimes that there are plenty of people who will take a colorblind approach and in doing so ignore the problem of racism, right? And even just refuse to acknowledge it. And in that way, refuse to address it or participate in stopping it in its tracks. And all of that is hugely problematic. And you and I are facing racism head on, which to me makes it a clear distinction from that type of colorblindness, a sort of problematic one where I don't even want to say that racism has ever been a problem in the world or the country, right?
Right. Or that it was a problem and it's gone.
Right. Yes. And so we're facing racism head on. And so how people are kind of hesitant and concerned at first, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But after I've directly spoken against racism in 10 different ways, and you're still holding on to something that I'm not saying, that's the story of my life right now, increasingly as my Twitter account it gets more traction. And I don't think it hasn't even been a year yet since I've actually been doing this work. So I don't know if I've been doing it longer than you.
You've had more than a year worth of attacks, insults, and false attributions. You've had a decade worth. Let me ask you this. Were you surprised? Like, were you expecting to get so much pushback, or
Yes.
maybe you were okay. So it's
Yeah.
not that you were surprised. It's just unpleasant, to say the least.
That's right. Well, so one more thing, right? So color blindness, not only is it different because we're facing racism head on and we're actually offering a way that we can stop racism, that we can stop the persistent material conditions that people constantly point to, don't even fully understand more often than not, because their vision is clouded because of how racism works in this country. So I'll just throw that out there. I go into statistics and things in other podcasts, and people, if they really want to learn, can listen to those podcasts. But people have an idea of what racism is and how it manifests, and the idea isn't always accurate. And I take the ideas people have about so-called Black people as indicative and part and parcel of how racism works. And that's super ironic and paradoxical to me, because the people, usually progressives, who are self-proclaimed anti-racist and working really hard against racism, the ones who give me the most trouble, usually on Twitter, those same people have these narratives of what racism is and how it has impacted human society. And it's clear to me by the things they say that they have actually no idea.
They don't understand the history in the least. I mean, that's one of the things when you can, if it's okay if I interject, when you study the history, you see, these collection of skulls, to compare beauty, and then to supposedly determine someone's intelligence by the size of their skull. I mean, you start to see these things, and you start to see how they were used to justify slavery and Jim Crow and all these other things. I mean, a little history goes a long way. So I do think it's important as an anti-racist to keep learning that history. I don't want anyone to be able to go, well, you're missing such and such. It's like, no, you're missing such and such. But let's get back to the same point. Let's get back to the main point. I really want to get back to this color blindness versus racelessness. So here's how I look at it. And I'm just going to, because I'm speaking to you, I'm going to say it as though I'm speaking to you. I see your physicality. I see your shirt and your hair and your skin color and other features and your headset, which looks like a nicer headset than mine, by the way. But I have a good one, but I haven't brought it out yet since we moved. So, I see all those things. So first of all, I see those things. Second of all, I imagine, I don't know what your experience has been. We haven't talked about it, but I imagine that there are people in the world who see you and make certain assumptions based on it and treat you in a certain way. It's fair to say. I'm guessing I don't know what your experience has been like, but that's what I would say. So I assume that. So in other words, I assume maybe there's some prejudice or discrimination or whatever you want, racism going on. I see that. I also see that we are not in separate biological races. We're human beings. We have our own ancestral trees. And the further back you go in the ancestry, the less genetics is passed down. So I see all those things. So I think for anybody questioning this, just listen to what I'm saying. You can do this with people. You can notice their physical features and name them, and they're there. You can acknowledge that a lot of folks look at those physical features, whether yours or mine, and assume something about character, intelligence, morality. We got to talk about athletic ability and my experience in track in a minute. You can probably end it. So there are people who are doing that. So people do that. We see that. We see how folks are racializing us. We see how people are treating us accordingly. And we also see that there's no different biological race between us. It's all there. And there's a level of complexity there that stretches people's minds. But when you break it down like that, I hope some folks listening like, oh, yeah, I can do all those things at the same time.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to support our channel and keep the conversation going. For more Theory of Racelessness, you can follow us on Twitter at Racelessness or use the link in the description box down below. We hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, there is still so much more to come. Until then, thank you so much from the Theory of Racelessness. Have a great day.